The next morning, I leave Cleellum with something nagging at me about Joe's suspect. All right, Joe is all in on Walt Recca, and in some ways, why wouldn't he be? You know, it's hard to imagine a more compelling story than the one we just heard. But something is bothering me. We're pretty far from Cooper's accepted jump zone. The FBI established Cooper's likely flight path as being a highway in the sky known as Victor 23. Cleellum is way outside of that, a fact that casts some real doubt on Recca as a likely suspect. But the Cooperverse is full of doubts, including some that I am just beginning to have now. When you think about all these D.B. Cooper suspects, not just Walt Recca, but all of them, they all have something in common. They're all guys that got away with the crime. But what if the FBI was right? What if the most obvious answer here is the right one? What if Cooper died during the jump? To try and determine the likelihood of Cooper's survival, I drive out of the mountains, while on a runway near flight path V23, another vehicle begins its own journey. Which brings us to Andy Farrington, age 41, jumps 26,000 and counting, current altitude about 10,000 feet. Oh, and he's wearing a C9 parachute, the same likely used by D.B. Cooper. Andy's task for today is simple. Get to the ground in one piece and tell me if, in his professional opinion, D.B. Cooper could have survived his final leap into the sky. I'm waiting in Andy's drop zone with his father, Jeff, who is himself a professional skydiving instructor. Okay, Andy, how you looking up there?
Looking way better than a November day.
I'm about 10 seconds out.
Just to be clear, Andy is about to jump out of a plane wearing an antique. Let's hope it still does its job. Okay, Andy, you are good to jump. Here goes. To test the long-held FBI theory that D.B. Cooper died making his legendary parachute jump, I've enlisted professional skydiver Andy Farrington to make a similar dive using the exact same equipment as Cooper. So far, so good. Now, that parachute's not really steerable, right?
Oh, that one's not at all.
Andy, we are in the drop zone waiting for you. A gust of wind in almost any direction, and Andy could find himself sailing into the trees, which may tell us what we want to know about Cooper, but probably wouldn't be so fun for Andy. He's down. Hey! How are you, man?
Not bad, not bad.
Well, you know how to make an entrance, I'll give you that. Great jump. This is the C9, right?
Yep.
This is the chute that we think Cooper probably jumped in. I mean, it looks like it's a fair vintage.
It's definitely way older than I am. Yeah.
When did they start making these things?
About 1964.
So why was this chute so attractive as a military chute?
Reliability.
Right.
100%. Got the job done.
So reliable, but not very maneuverable.
That's correct.
Could Cooper have survived the jump wearing this chute?
Yep.
He could have.
Yep.
Because this chute will open at up to what speed, would you say?
275 knots or 315 miles per hour.
Got it. And we know that the 727 at that time was flying kind of low and a little slower. It was doing just under 200. So technically, that could work.
Yes, but I think the deck was so stacked against his favor. He jumped out into November.
Yep.
Cold, rainy, windy.
And Cooper was jumping into, most likely, wilderness.
Trees and rivers.
Yep. Cooper jumped wearing nothing but a parachute and a suit. Freezing to death would be a real possibility. Wind shear could have collapsed his chute in the storm, or he could have landed in the water. So, do you think he could have survived the jump?
The jump part, I do. I wouldn't want to land in a river. I wouldn't want to land in a lake. My first choice would probably be landing in a tree.
Really?
It's reasonably soft.
Well, awesome jump. It was a real treat to see that.
Right on.
Nice work, man.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
You betcha.
Appreciate it. So did Cooper survive? To say that he did seems possible, but I wouldn't say it's overwhelmingly likely. It feels like I and every other DB detective have been chasing a ghost. Fortunately, though, I have friends in smart places, something I remember when I get a call from Tom Kay. On my first trip down the Cooper rabbit hole, Tom and I turned up traces of rare earth elements on the necktie that DB Cooper left on the plane. Incredible new evidence that gave Cooper fanatics their first new clue in years. The infamous hijacker may have worked in the production of cathode ray tubes used in aviation radar screens. Now, Tom says he has something new to show me. I hit the gas and speed toward a state-of-the-art lab in Hillsboro, Oregon. What's on the docket today? What have you got for me? I'm excited.
What we've got today in this fantastic facility, TSS Microscopy has allowed us to use their flagship electron microscope.
To me, this is like something from Ant-Man. Are we shrinking people today, Tom?
No, but we could see Ant-Man in here, no matter how small he was, we could see him with this machine, right?
Okay.
We saw type particles before. Today's different. Look what
Okay.
we've got here.
Well, these I recognize.
Yep, these are
Stubs. These are the little platforms you put inside these microscopes. We used these before, and we had little fibers from the tie last time.
Go ahead and open it up.
Okay, I see something else on these today, little bits of something.
So what's on here now are chunks of Cooper cash.
In 1980, nearly a decade after the Cooper hijacking, an 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram dug up $6,000 of buried cash in a place called Tina Bar, Washington. The serial numbers matched the Cooper ransom. The FBI theorized that Cooper must have fatally splashed down somewhere in the Columbia River, though exhaustive searches and dredging of the river turned up nothing. To date, the money found in the sand at Tina Bar is the only part of the Cooper ransom ever recovered. Now, we're about to get the closest look at that cash that's ever been taken. After Tom carefully places the sample in the scanner, it's time to show me the money. All right, so here's our stub.
That's a piece of Cooper's cash.
So, what'd you find on the money?
Last time, we talked about the tie particles. This time, we're doing the same techniques to go in and look at microscopic particles that are found in water.
Okay.
And these are called diatoms. These are single algae cells that grow this glass shell around them.
Okay. It looks like a fossil almost.
They actually are.
That is so cool. So these diatoms are just little algae organisms.
Correct.
And we are zoomed in on this bill how much now?
8,000 times.
So in order for these diatoms to get on the money has to be out in the water.
It takes about 10 to 15 minutes for money to get soaked enough that they fan out in the water, and that's when they would be exposed to the diatoms. Mr. Cooper has made a contribution to forensic science because we found out that we can use diatoms to determine what season the money got wet.
Oh.
This has never been done before in forensic science. That diatom is called Asterianella formosa.
I was gonna say, it looked like Asterianella formosa.
So this particular species only blooms in the spring.
Whoa.
It's not in the river in November when Cooper jumped.
So could the money have hit the water in November, but then next spring these diatoms work their way in?
There are diatoms that live in the winter.
Yes.
And if it went in the water in the winter, we'd see those diatoms. We don't see them.
My brain is kind of melting here. This means that the money didn't enter the river when Cooper jumped, but it did get wet in the spring.
Correct.
And then got buried in that sand. So the FBI's official story is
wrong.
I mean, that's huge. That's a bombshell. Tom's new find has the potential to turn a 50-year-old investigation on its ear, but it begs a huge question. What circumstances explain the money's brief but single exposure to the water of the Columbia River before becoming trapped in the sand at Tina Bar to be discovered by Brian Ingram in 1980? One Cooper researcher has a theory that he claims fits all the newly available facts. So I return to Tina Bar, Washington, to connect with Eric Eulis. Hey man, how are ya?
Hey brother, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Eric. Nice to meet you, man. Eric isn't a former cop or a reporter. He's come by his Cooper knowledge the old-fashioned way, through decades of exhaustive research and collaboration. I know you're familiar with Tom Kay's work. What's the story that fits with these diatoms that have been found or not found on the money?
Well, what we know is that the money was exposed to the Columbia River, but during the springtime only. I believe that D.B. Cooper landed very close to this area, probably within a mile, and on the night that he landed here, actually buried the money on the beach before he worked his way back into town.
So the first part of that theory works great. He lands out here, he buries the money in a dry location somewhere up on the beach or up in the woods here.
That's right.
And we don't have those pesky winter diatoms on the money. But how does the money get wet at some point with these spring diatoms?
And I've actually researched the Columbia River,
Okay.
and there were only 2 times between 1971, when the skyjacking took place, and 1980, when the money was found, that there were flooding events where the water actually reached the money burial spot. The spring of '72 was one event, and the spring of '74 was another event. So that's why I'm saying that D.B. Cooper, realizing that, hey, the money may get swept out to the Pacific
Right, he's
Ocean.
like, the place where I hid this stuff is about to be underwater.
He's got to come back. It's probably under 5 or 6 inches of water. He pulls the bag out of the watery grave. A few of those packets get left behind, exposed to the Columbia River. But after he leaves, that sand fills back in, covers those money packets back up, and the money is locked into the beach to be found 8 years later.
Okay, so now here's the problem. You would need to know where little Brian Ingram found that money in 1980.
That's part of the problem. When the FBI dug up the beach in 1980 and left, they didn't mark the spot.
Right, and it was pre-GPS.
That's exactly right. And I actually took it upon myself to start researching to try to determine precisely where the money was buried. And I eventually did, and I know the precise spot today.
Show me.
All right, absolutely.
We walk to the area where Eric has determined the money was originally found. I'm skeptical until I see who's holding the fort.
Josh, I've got a special guest here
I
for
know
you.
who this is. What's up, man?
How you doing, buddy?
Little Brian Ingram, the only man who's ever found D.B. Cooper's money.
We refer to Brian as Cooper royalty.
Brian was just 8 years old when he made the only true break in this case, finding bundles of Cooper's ransom money on the beach here at Tina Bar. So all told, you found just under $6,000 of Cooper's money.
Correct. Would you like to see some of it?
You have it?
I do.
Get out of here. That's insane. Cooper's money. Like, I have chills. This is the real deal, folks. Remnants of the actual bills that were carried through the air by our mystery skyjacker. This money went out that plane with D.B. Cooper. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Okay, we have to be relatively close to where you found the money, but it's changed so much since then.
That's right.
So how do we know right where the money was found?
Here, take a look at this.
So this looks like old aerial footage.
That's correct. This is footage taken from a news helicopter that was filmed during the FBI search. You can see the agents on the beach.
Right. First thing that pops out here is how much beach there is. I mean, it's all sand.
It's completely different. There's an old gravel road that you can see in the footage here that an FBI car is actually sitting on.
That's part of what we walked on.
That
yeah?
gravel road is right up there.
Right.
And utilizing landmarks, I was able to identify the precise money find spot. I've got a still image from the footage that you're looking at that shows a little better exactly money find spot.
Now, somebody might say, all this is well and good, but isn't the FBI all over this place?
The FBI did not search from the money find spot back up to the gravel road. I don't know why.
Should we pick up some metal detectors and some shovels?
I think so.
Are you here to help?
I'm in.
There's $194,000 still out there. You're our lucky charm, Brian.
Give me a shovel.
We grab our metal detectors and begin exploring the area from the shore up to the old gravel road. Our team is now 4 strong, including Brian and Eric's friend, expert metal detectorist Jeff Morgan.
Something's hitting hard, huh?
Yeah, something down there.
What you got?
A strong hit right here.
Something here.
What is that?
It's an odd enough piece. I just can't tell what it is.
I mean, it could be anything. Could be part of a barbed wire fence.
Yeah, interesting.
But hey, it's a start.
Yeah.
All right, keep looking. The wire is just the beginning as we start to pile up the hits. Looks like a feeder straw of some kind.
Yeah. It's WD-40 can.
Did Cooper jump with WD-40?
Shotgun shell.
Okay, we got a shotgun shell. We got permission to be on this property, right?
Nice nail.
If we were in the iron collection business,
Yep.
we'd be rich. Now, in terms of the actual money find spot, Brian said it was right around here, yeah?
That's correct. If you see that furthest boulder out right there,
Yes.
if you go out from there, that's exactly where the money was found.
In the water.
That's correct. Nowadays, the money find spot's about 15 feet offshore.
Well, it feels like one of us should probably get out there and check that out.
Good luck, Josh.
All right, I'll go. Time to get wet. I trade in my detector for an aquatic model and wade back into the search. Okay, so, around here?
2 feet to the left of that shark over there.
All right, there's no sharks in Portland. There's no sharks, right?